Hey, this video is for Jakkie Hamby. She was asking about tips for flushing, and I thought I might as well give my kind of top 10 tips for flushing with fire eating and share it with the entire group. So number one that I like to tell people is when you do your flushing things, don't use the entire wick. If you go like this, you have a 2-inch long line that'll burn a lot more. So you'll see I either do this corner piece like right here, or I do down this way where I'm using the thinner portion right here, and then I bring that one out to light my line. Other things I make sure that the fuel is the highest point on my arm. If I go on the front of my arm, I'm likely to burn the top up here, even though the fuel line's down here. And I also want it to make sure it's the highest point up here so that the heat rises away from it. And that's also another reason why I'd like to draw this thin line, because from the audience perspective, they only see height. They don't see the width of it unless you're going down this way. Another thing is just being able to read your fuel lines. If you have a sopping wet torch and you squeeze super hard and there's too much on there, not trying to tap it immediately, otherwise you might get burned because it'll sit a little bit longer. And also because of that, if you do have a really, really thick line, so sometimes I'm coming across like here, coming straight across, and I see that it's a little bit too much, I will go ahead and do something with my other arm before coming through and letting it go all the way on, or lighting it immediately. I'll give it a couple seconds. Another thing is I try to avoid smacking the torch, especially on the slides. So this one right here where you slide tap. I see a lot of people when they do this, they hit here and they go that really quickly, and then all of a sudden this smacks too much and it spreads out your fuel. And of course, then you have a big glob of fuel, in which case it ends up burning that location a little bit more quickly. So now number 6, make sure your trails run slightly upward. If you've ever noticed, I guess I have to do this on my body. If you do light a trail and you try to go down, it takes a little bit longer since flame tends to travel up than if you were to do this and let your train travel upwards. Other thing is don't wait to extinguish. The second I light, I usually want to extinguish it immediately. So like for this trail, the second I light it, I immediately take my arm up and down to put it out. A couple other things you can do when you do light your arm is rather than just go like this, I like to smile, block the back of my mouth, use my nose, and therefore it's coming through on here, as well as the popular things of putting it behind your back to wipe it out, using your other arm, doing any type of toss. So if you do like your classic shotgun right here, coming down in here, even if it's not touching here, I like to give it a quick toss, and that shows that this is already gone, and then I have my torch ready. And for like a more masculine approach, I also like having it come from this way, so coming down this direction, drops onto the arm. You can take this and do a little punch for a more masculine, aggressive way of extinguishing on your arm. So that was number 7. Number 8, keep your torch cool. So I have 2 different colored torches for this reason. So I'll light this torch right here. I'll do some type of transfer over to this torch, and this is the torch I immediately do a jellyfish with. So this one stays lit. This one's extinguished again. I'll do a transfer over here, light the blue torch, come here, but then I'll immediately jellyfish this out, okay? If I do a tongue transfer back over to this torch, I'll immediately either jellyfish if it's still pretty wet, or do a quick little eat that's fairly open so I don't get it on my mouth or my tongue. And that always keeps this blue torch cool. I only leave 1 torch lit. Number 9, cooling down your fuel is actually super useful. So I'll take my fuel, especially if you've noticed on hot summer days, it gets really, really warm, and then you do a field trail, and it's just really hot compared to normal. I just take your fuel, throw it in your dip can. I just usually use the Nalgene bottle or something. Take the Nalgene bottle, throw it in your freezer right before a gig, and then just like have your secondary dip bottle be a wine cooler, like one of those ice coolers. So even if it does spill, it just goes in the ice cooler, plus it keeps your fuel cold. So then right after you dip it, this torch always stays cold. So even if you do something quick, it is a little bit harder to ignite that, but then it does in fact stay a little cooler. It takes a little bit longer to heat up, and it's a little bit kinder to you when you're doing your flushing. Last but not least, you can also do flushing on your clothing. Oh, there it is. If I do flushing on my clothing, there's 2 tricks I kind of use. Trick number 1 being I will wear leggings underneath the fabric I'm using, so it'll be like jeans and then leggings. We'll insulate that a little bit more, as well as spraying my jeans down with fabric guard. That's just make sure it doesn't burn the fabric, as well as making sure that it stays on top and doesn't ever soak into the other pair of leggings and then just transfer heat all the way through. So those were the 10 tips. I'll probably write them up and drop them in. Keep your lines thin, keep your fuel high, read your fuel lines, don't be afraid to bail, go slowly, let the flame runs upwards, don't wait to extinguish, keep your torch cool, keep your fuel cool, and then you can do your trails on fabrics should you not want to do it on your skin. Also, last but not least, if you are doing anything along the body like here, don't pivot right in the center because it only causes winds to either this side. If I do something especially on the shoulder blades across here, you'll notice I'll pick a pivot point this side and move around it, and that will cause more wind and then put it out a little bit quicker. Sorry, Jackie, that this ended up being a bit longer of a video, but hopefully that helps you out and the rest of the people in the fire eating group. Bye.